So what's the difference between a meltdown and a tantrum? Is there one? I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach parenting all over the world through the lens of the principle self-government. I have parented some of the most difficult children the world has to offer, doing therapeutic treatment care for many years, as well as raising my own children, which I'm not going to put into that same category. But I know what a tantrum looks like and what a meltdown looks like. And in this video, we're talking about the difference. In this video, we're going to talk about the difference between tantrums and meltdowns, and I'll share some of my personal experiences. And then we're also going to be talking about what to do when a person has a tantrum or a meltdown to help them get out of that state. Tantrums and meltdowns are often seen as the same thing, but they are not. In fact, if you can understand the difference between a tantrum and a meltdown, then you will better be able to help your children. When a child experiences frustration, what they're really experiencing is a lot of frustration about something. They might be disappointed in something. They might be angry. And usually they're using this anger, this frustration, to try to control another person or to control their surroundings. Oftentimes it's because they don't have skills. They don't know how else to maintain control over themselves, except for just to tell everybody else that they need to do what they now want them to do. So many people think, and this is a very immature thought process, that they can feel more in control of themselves if they can control everyone else. Here's the thing, no one ever can control anyone else. That's like a myth. It's really not possible. Even if you can physically move or control someone, even if you can try to help control what's going on inside their thought processes, in the end, they always have choice. They can break from any of that at any time. So you can't ever have full control over a person. And it's always such a fragile thing to even attempt it, because it's not going to stay constant for very long. You will be found out if you are attempting to control. So tantrums are an effort to control your surroundings, the other people around you, and really in the end it's because you're feeling out of control, and so you're really wanting that feeling to go away as well. So the feeling of control is, or being maybe out of control, is a similarity between tantrums and meltdowns. When a person has a meltdown, it feels very different. When a person has a meltdown, they are usually having a heightened state of anxiety. They're very aware that they are emotionally or physically going out of control, and this is very concerning to them. And this leads to a meltdown. In this state of severe anxiety, a person is feeling like they're going to lose it on the inside. So usually, if we want to just make this very clear, a meltdown is a state of stimulation. Either you've had too much stimulation or not enough stimulation. And certain people are a little bit more triggered by stimulation in their environment, just based upon how they process things and sometimes just how they are inside. So when a person has not enough stimulation or they've had too much stimulation, this can lead to this feeling of I'm going out of control. And so now I don't know what to do. And sometimes they walk away when they're having a meltdown, meaning they just shut down. I don't know how to handle this. And so now I'm retreating. So a retreat is a type of a meltdown. Or sometimes the person might get very emotional as part of this meltdown, because suddenly inside that stimulation level has hit this heightened sensory level, and they're not able to handle that sensory awareness that they're experiencing at that time. Now, these things can look similar to people. A person could have a tantrum and everyone could assume, oh, it's a meltdown. They're having a sensory experience right now and they are overstimulated or they're understimulated. So we need to change their surroundings. When in reality, the person is just mad and trying to control somebody else. That happens all the time. People often give somebody the benefit of the doubt. They try to solve the problem from the outside in. Here's the thing, that when a person is having a meltdown, you can do some things on the outside that do help the situation to get better. Okay? The person will start to take more control over themselves as a few things in the extrinsic circumstance actually adjust. When a person is having a tantrum, they don't want to take any responsibility for themselves. That's the biggest difference. And so when they are having a tantrum and you try to control things from the outside to make them feel better, they don't choose to feel better. They don't start taking any responsibility. It still is about your fault, your fault, your fault, and they don't start to be empowered at all. That's how you know it was a tantrum oftentimes instead of a meltdown. So for years, I took in therapeutic treatment care children. I've spoken about it many times on this channel and all the videos here. Hopefully you've subscribed to the channel by now so that you can learn more about some of the things that I'm mentioning here. But during those years of doing that foster care for those troubled teens, boy, did I see some meltdowns. In fact, the world saw me handling a meltdown with an out-of-control teen back in 2009 when the BBC made the documentary about my family called The World's Strictest Parents. You saw Hannah going completely out of control multiple times. She was 17 years old, having a total tantrum in an effort to control. I knew that this was happening and I had the skills in place to help her. And by the way, you can see my reaction videos to that episode of The World's Strictest Parents on this channel as well. So go ahead and look for that. The world saw her get calm and change. They saw her choose to be a different person within moments to say, okay, that's not working. I'm not going to be that way. At first, she had a tantrum for 2 days straight, pushed and pushed, tested and tested, and then said, yeah, that's not working. I'm not going to do that anymore. And she totally changed. That's how we know she wasn't having a meltdown. She was having a tantrum. Now, I know that people use those terms interchangeably. I actually have used the terms interchangeably before, probably even on some of the videos on this channel, just because people think of them the same, but it is important to know they're not the same. Now, in the BBC program, you also saw James, age 17, have a problem. He was getting ready to run away. You see me say to James, James, give me a hug. James at that moment was actually having a stress attack that was more like a meltdown. He was having severe anxiety. He was very overstimulated by everything that was happening at our house. He was used to having a lot of seclusion time, not talking a ton about things. And now we're talking about everything. And he's doing really, really well. But suddenly he just gets bogged down. And I could tell that that's what's happening. And he started not trusting himself to be able to do what I knew he could do. And so I told him to give me a hug. It's a beautiful moment in that episode where I give him a hug and tell him that I know, I trust that he can do this. I tell him this is possible. It's going to be okay. Then he goes, okay, I can do this. He gets himself right back on track. He totally changes. He chooses to change. I see him. I watch him choose to be okay and to adjust his whole day just by me taking him in, showing him with physical, it's okay. I'm here for you. I love you. I trust you can do this. I told him with words. I told him with my body. And at that point, he thought, okay, I can control them myself. I can do what she's telling me to do. I can. He wasn't pushing against me because he didn't like me or he was mad at me or he wanted to control me. He was pushing against me because he had so much to process and he didn't know how to process it all. He was having a meltdown. It was different. So what do you do when someone's experiencing a tantrum or a meltdown? Is there something that you can always do, no matter what the situation is, to help a person choose to be calm? The answer is yes. Okay, so skills make all the difference with self-government. They really do. A person who is truly self-governed has planned ahead of time. This is how I'm going to handle a situation before it ever occurs. And that's what I'm going to help you with right now. Before a tantrum or a meltdown ever occurs, have some processes in place. In my TSG parenting course and in my 3-day trainings, which I call parenting mastery trainings, I go into great detail about some of these processes that I'm just going to highlight a teeny bit here. Okay, because we do need practice using the skills before it's really the real time when they're needed. So be sure that you keep getting more learning and you do some practice on all of the skills. One of the first things that you do is when a person is starting to go out of control, whether it's tantrum or meltdown, instead of reacting to it, you just describe what's going on. You try to help them see, help them take a little step back and look at the situation third person. Now, the only way you're going to help them see third person is for you to take a step back and see it as third person. This means that you cannot go out of control. You have got to stay calm. And at the end of this video, I'm going to give you a tool for how to stay calm. It's actually a free course that I'm going to give you, okay, for calmness. You stay calm, and then you take a step back and you describe so that they can see things through a third person lens. The description should not be an emotional description. It should be a logical, physical description. Now, in a description, you can say, I see that you are feeling this way, but you don't ever say something like, oh, well, you're just mad because, or you don't say, these are all no things, don't do these things. You don't say, right now, you are just losing control because you are trying to control everybody else but yourself. Nope, we don't say things like that because that's putting words into their thoughts and into their mouth that might not be true. First, we need to seek to understand what's going on. So we need to say, okay, right now, you're pacing. Right now, your voice is getting louder. I know you're frustrated. We've got to get calm and talk about this. What you're doing right now is you're starting to go down that road of going out of control. Those types of comments and descriptions are useful because they can see, oh, am I pacing? Is my voice getting louder? Oh, they're right. It is. Those are signs of going out of control. We've talked about calmness before. We've talked about going out of control, and that is what it looks like. She's right. Okay. She's trying to help me. I might even say to them, let me help you. Now, sometimes to help them, I'm going to do the steps to a correction. And I talk about that in my training. Sometimes to help them, I'm going to do the step for intensive teaching. Because if they're starting to go that way really fast, out of control, whether it's meltdown or whether it's total tantrum, I am going to start by pointing them toward calmness. The way that you engage the prefrontal cortex and point them toward calmness is by doing something called the rule of three. Now, this is for ages probably 5 or 6 and up. Okay. For younger children, I have another intensive teaching skill that I teach about in my parenting training. So you'll definitely want to learn those things, but you need to have the skill in place. You need to know what to say. So let's review. Am I calm? I take a step back. Am I calm and ready? Okay, now I'm going to describe what I see there. I'm going to hold up a mirror so that now they can see it. Now I'm going to start a process that points them toward calmness or helps them see what happened, what should have happened, and start them on the track to correcting the problem and improving things. Then I'm going to practice things the right way. After we get them to a place of calmness and we've corrected what needs to be corrected, now I'm going to take some time to practice what they should have done so that they didn't find themselves in a place where they felt like they needed to go out of control to be understood. And at this time, we might practice some of the skills that they already know. Skills like disagreeing appropriately. Steps to skills like dropping the subject. Those are usually things that a person that chooses to have a meltdown or a tantrum is struggling with. And if they just had a reminder about the skills that they already know and could use those skills in the moment, it might change everything for them. So practicing it the right way. And then you know what? Praise them about that practice. Praise them for being open to the teaching. And then next time, when it's time to help them get back into control, they'll recognize this is a positive process. This is a safe process. It's okay. No one's controlling me. The more and more that you go through the process of helping a person person calm down, the better for them, because they will see that this process really does help and they will trust it when you start to use it. Now, speaking of processes, I have a free gift for you. This free gift is all about calmness. It will share with you 10 tools for calmness. It will help you understand more that process for how to be calm, and will teach you some of the things to say in these pretty hectic parenting moments. In the description below this video, there is a link. It goes to the Calm Parenting Toolkit. The link is teachselfgov.com/toolkit. So click on the link to that toolkit now and you'll get 10 tools to help you on the self-government track to calmness. I'll see you there.